Welcome back, where we have Paul Holliday here, who is Captain and Public Information Officer for the Orange County Fire Authority. Well, welcome back. Nice to see you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You know, the last time that I talked with you, I got my foot stuck.
I remember
at
that.
the station,
yeah.
And it made for a great blooper.
That's why we don't wear heels in the fire station.
Yeah, well, thank goodness,
That's the only
right?
reason.
All right, well, we've got a couple of subjects that are very important, and I think a lot of people were probably experiencing not necessarily a disaster, but, you know, heating. They've been using a lot of heaters because we did have some pretty chilly temperatures there for a while. So what are some of the concerns that they should be looking out for when they're using an interior heater?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always nice to get warm and get in the safety of your home. You feel safe there. But there are some concerns. There are some hazards that go along with heating, especially with the portable heaters that people use in the smaller units. Or in the bigger units. They don't want to heat the whole house, so they get these portable heaters. And there's definitely some safety concerns that go with that.
Right.
A couple of the biggest concerns with that is people put them too close to combustible items. Combustible items mean things that could catch on fire. They may hang some laundry over it, or they put the newspaper right next to it.
Oh.
So storing those or putting those heaters too close to combustibles, they'll start heating up, and then they'll end up catching fire.
Okay.
That's
so would curtains be one of those things too?
Absolutely. Curtains would be another big one. Thanks for mentioning that. People, they'll put them in the corner because it's out of the way and discreet. But yeah, they'll get too close to those curtains in the corner, and a lot of those curtains, especially the light ones, they're just primed to catch fire if they get too hot.
Well, I think what a lot of people are probably experiencing, and they may opt for one of those transportable heaters, is because all of a sudden our gas prices just went through the roof, right? Like over a month, and it really can be very costly. So people are like, well, you know what? I'm just going to go get out my old portable heater. Now, sometimes they do have those coils that heat up, and those are super dangerous.
Yeah, especially the older ones before a lot of the new safety requirements. Basically, a heater was just that. It was hot wires. They were glowing red, and if you touch them, you would burn right away.
Right.
And those are the ones that are particularly dangerous because it doesn't take really much of anything to catch fire on those.
Right.
So our recommendation is, if you are going to be using a portable heater, go to your local Home Depot, hardware store, and invest in a safe heater.
Okay.
We recommend you get one that has a timer that shuts itself off. That's one of our other things we find, is that people leave them on all night, and then even if you have something set further away, as it continues to heat up through the night, that radiant heat will combust that. So we do recommend that anything that you can see the hot elements in there, it's probably old and time to replace it with something newer.
And some of those ones that are on Home Depot actually have mechanisms that when they tip over, they turn off.
Yeah, all the new ones, they have a sensor or switch in them that if they get knocked, they're going to shut themselves off.
Yeah, good thing.
Yeah.
Good thing, because like you said, if it tips over and it's going to burn something, especially carpet, it could even burn the carpet too. So there's so many combustible things that you would never even think of could just burn up because of heat. Yeah,
those space heaters they're dangerous. The newer ones are much safer. They built in the safety mechanisms. Another thing we see with those is people plug them into the extension cords, the real thin extension cords or circuit breakers. And those aren't designed for the high amps that those heaters draw.
Right.
So we recommend that if you get one, you plug it directly into a wall outlet.
Okay. Now, many folks have dryers in their homes, and some are like those stackable ones. And I guess I wonder, because I have a stackable one, and it seems to be so. You can't get behind it, you can't get to the side of it to see if there's any issues in the back. And so if you allow that lint to build up in some of those tubes, is that dangerous?
Yeah, we recommend that everybody clean their dryer vents once a year to get that lint out of there, because that lint is what starts the fire. It's small, it's like tinder, and it's what's going to want to heat up and start that initial fire and have it grow. So we recommend that just part of your annual cleaning and maintenance is that you clean out those dryer vents. You get your vacuum cleaner in there, and you suck it out and clean it out.
Also, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Are you talking about like where you take the little lint thing out and you suck it out of that area? How do you get to the back and you do the tubes? Are you supposed to clean that out too?
So you can. That's a lot more work, and we recommend you do that if possible. But those tubes, once it's in the tube and heading out, as long as your tube doesn't get clogged up and jammed, you should be okay. But just keeping the loose lint, and if you continue that maintenance, you don't get all that extra lint that just kind of floats around.
Yeah.
And if you do have a lot of lint, when you just see it on the floor and behind, pick it back there with a vacuum as well and clean that lint out.
Okay.
With the dryers, we also recommend you plug those directly in the wall. Don't use an extension cord. Because same thing, those little extension cords aren't designed to carry that high amperage, and they'll heat up.
Right.
And then they heat up and they touch the lint, and then your fire goes.
You know, when you plug it in, I mean, I've never really had to worry about that because it's already plugged in for me. But are those generally the ones that can turn off if there is a problem? I forget what they call those. But
So if they're properly installed, which most dryers are, we don't have as much of an issue with dryers as we do with the portable heaters.
Circuit breaker.
Most of them are on a circuit breaker, or what they call a GFI, ground fault
Got it.
breaker.
Okay.
So if it's in the right spot where your dryer should be, that's really not a problem as much with the dryers. But some people want to move them to a closet or something. That can be an issue.
Now, what about where it exits, where the vent and the heat kind of exits? Usually it's on the exterior of your home.
Yes.
So do you need to worry about that?
So that's another place that you can go and you can clean out,
Okay.
get rid of some of that lint that's built up in those tubes. You go out there with your vacuum hose and you stick it in there, and it'll draw out any of that loose lint. And you'll notice it as you start to walk by. You go, oh my gosh, I got lint on my floor. It's probably starting to get full, and a good time to do that.
Okay. And also, most of the time, those little vents on the outside have wire and stuff on them. But if they don't, should people be concerned and put wire there?
So that wire mesh is more for you than for that, because that just keeps the rodents and that type of stuff out. It's not like your vent eaves that keeps the fire out.
Okay.
That's really to keep rodents and stuff out here.
Oh, okay. Well, yikes.
So
you don't want them crawling in.
You want to keep that mesh on there, and again, that's not so much for the lint and the dust fire. That's to keep your rodents out.
Okay. Now, we've all been guilty of some kind of hoarding, books or newspapers or whatever. It just stacks up in the corner. But here you just say, probably not a good idea.
Yeah. As far as safety goes, safety in the home, the hoarding, the collecting of large amounts of material can be a serious safety issue but for several reasons. One, we'll go back to what we talked about first, those space heaters. Even if you have a built-in furnace and you start stacking up around the heater vents, you could build up that excess heat and create a fire hazard. Also, if you start getting piles in your path of travel, they can become tripping hazards when nobody wants to trip and break a hip and get injured that way.
Right.
It does a few things. If we have to come in an emergency, we're not able to get to you. We're not able to get to the seat of the fire and put it out. Right. It becomes dangerous for everybody involved, yourself and the rescuers.
Right. Now, people keep batteries around, and then we've been hearing a lot about with lithium batteries too, that they are combustible and they just do it themselves. So is that something to be concerned about as well if we're keeping those in our home?
So the battery issues, it's when they're charging. And when the batteries sit on the chargers, they're designed to charge at full charge, come off the charger, and then be ready to use. It's when people leave them on the chargers full time and they just, I put my battery on the charger, I'll grab it when I need it next. And that's when the batteries will overheat and heat up. So if you do have a battery charger in your house, just like your heater, you want to keep combustibles away from that. You want to keep it on a clear workbench somewhere. If it does overheat, that it will just burn itself out and be done.
Okay.
Trip the breaker, hopefully, and be done. But certainly if you're charging batteries, you want to keep them clear of any papers or anything that could catch fire.
Is there any particular time frame that they shouldn't be on there any longer? I mean, I guess when you notice that they are charged, you should take them out?
Yeah, the chargers will have a green light, and when you see their batteries full, take it off the chargers. No longer charging you're not going to get an extra drill out of it or extra few minutes on your vacuum, whatever the battery is for.
Yeah.
Once it's charged, it's charged. And after that, it's just sitting on the charger, and there's a chance that that circuit will continue to heat up and overcharge that battery.
I did not know that. That's great advice. And it's only on the rechargeable batteries, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, because otherwise it's not a big deal.
Correct. Any loose battery, it's not going to gain any power.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for the reminders. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you guys in a couple of months, and maybe I'm sure by that time we'll be in fire season.
Yep,
even though fire season is all year round, this particular time frame might be worse.
Correct. We are safely in a very low fire danger right now,
right.
But it's going to be coming quickly. With all the rain we've had, we're going to get a lot of grasses. We're going to have very tall grasses, which are our light, we call them light flashy fuels. Okay. Those are the ones that are going to start the fires and get them moving quickly.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back to talk about some wildland fire safety in a couple months.
That sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. If you want more information about anything we've discussed, or you just want to get a heads up on what's happening at the Orange County Fire Authority, you can go to ocfa.org. We'll be right back.